I didn't know if they had talked to them or.
Great. All right. Call to order the April 5th, 2023 Citizens Advisory Committee meeting. Would you like to do roll call, please, President? Thank you.
Committee member Will Knight.
He is going to be late tonight.
Okay. Committee Harrington.
Present.
Committee Lumiere.
I'm here.
Reynolds.
Here.
Vice Chair Barney.
Here.
Committee member Castillo White.
Here.
Committee member Rizzo.
Here.
Committee member Stephenson.
Here. Thank you. Chris, you want to lead Pledge Allegiance tonight?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Looks like we have Adrian in the office and Paul online. Do we have any public comment on non-agenda items? No. Paul? All right. No, you're on a tight deadline here. Come on up and introduce yourself. Oh, it should already be on. Yep, we can see you.
Oh, yeah, I was just saying this was not on, so I don't know if.
Oh.
Perfect, okay. Perfect, okay. So hi, my name is Jeffrey One. I guess I'm the newest member of City Council, officially I think position number 3, and have been going for a few months now. So I don't know how you guys want to do this, but I am, if you want me to just kind of tell you a little bit about myself, is that helpful?
That'd be great.
So I have lived in Troutdale my entire life. I went to Reynolds High School, graduated from there, and then I went to Mount Hood Community College, trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. I played a year of baseball there, and took some medical classes, and then met one of my best friends. His wife was a nurse, so she kind of inspired me that I didn't really want to be a doctor. I wanted to be a nurse. So I went to nursing school at Linfield. Oh, okay, I was gonna say, woo. And we graduated from nursing school there way back in 2002. Yeah, and I immediately started working at Legacy, which is now Randall Children's Hospital. And then 6 years ago now, I moved over to OHSU. So I currently am a pediatric and neonatal critical care transport nurse. So I get the pleasure of flying around and driving around to other area regional hospitals and bringing sick kids back to OHSU. And I really enjoy that work. And like I said, I lived here, I went to school in Linfield, and I came back and purchased a house off Troutdale Road, and then now in my house over off by kind of by the high school. So my parents still live over in Sandy Palisades, and so like I said, I have seen Troutdale grow over the years to where we're at now, from lots of fields and open spaces to grocery stores, shopping areas, many residential areas. So, and like I said, some of my kind of my passions are, I do enjoy sports. I like golfing. I love baseball. Are in baseball. I coach both their baseball teams. So one's 10 and then one just turned 13. And that's just a little bit. Let's see, do I do anything else? I do enjoy woodworking. That's kind of another little passion of mine. So I do enjoy doing that kind of on the side and kind of creating and being creative that way. It kind of, I'm not very artsy, but that was where my artsiness kind of is able to come out. And I had never really thought about applying for city council or really knew much about what city government or any of these committees really had to offer to a city. I have good friends with Nick Moon, who kind of talked me into and inspired me to run for city council. After talking to him for quite a while about it, I thought it was something that I could at least have an influence or an opinion on, and so I would say my main kind of ideas of how to help the city grow and be a place that I want to live and I would want other people to live and to want to come is kind of a thriving business area where businesses feel comfortable coming in here and they're able to thrive. And what that exactly means, I can't necessarily tell you that, but I think when those opportunities present themselves, I am willing to be open to those businesses to come in and help them grow, help them be successful. And I think that that's something that's missing, I feel like, from our area in East County, whether it's Gresham, Troutdale, Fairview, is having some more of those places that people can be kind of proud of, whether it's restaurants or little boutique shops, some place that people can be like, hey, this is a cool place to go to, this is a cool place to eat at. There was a place in downtown Gresham that was really good. Like, it was a fancier place to eat. I say fancy, like, you know, but it reminded me of a lot, like a restaurant you would find in inner Portland. And we went there quite a few times, and they ended up closing down. And we had gotten to not really know the owners, but we had been there enough times that, and I asked them, I was like, why are you guys closing down? This place is great. It's awesome that you guys are here. And her response was that East County just doesn't support kind of good restaurants like this. They just don't feel like that's what East County represented. And I was just kind of like, I don't think that's true. And so anyways, the most we can to draw those things in would be great. Also, I want to have a place where people feel safe to be. I know that it's a hot button topic in the city of Portland with the homeless. But it's not just homeless, it's just an overall feeling of safety in our community. And I feel like Troutdale is extremely safe. And how can we continue that? And how can we continue to make places safe and inviting for people to be? So I live sort of by Sunrise Park. I love walking around there. I feel like that could be a hotbed for, I don't want to say an unsafe situation, possibly, for people to kind of congregate. And it's a great place. Like, I walk around there all the time with my dog. It's safe. There's nobody that's like camping there or anything like that. And I think we do a good job of keeping that safe. So I'd like to just kind of extend that to the rest of the city. And keep that on the forefront of my mind. And then my last thing that I kind of would love to see for the city is outdoor recreation, and that can be multiple different things. But I would really like to see some playing fields and places where kids can go play sports and be proud to play there. Just whether it's keeping up our parks or creating new spaces for them in conjunction with other businesses or whatever. I think that would help bring people in and create that family and comforting atmosphere that we all can be proud of, and just a place for kids to be. So those are kind of my things. That's kind of why I ran, and that's a little bit about me. So if anybody has any questions, or if they were thinking of something different that they would like from me, I would love to answer.
Any questions for Counselor?
I don't have a question, but is that it?
Yeah.
I've always been interested in utilizing the space between Stark Street and Troutdale Road. If you just kind of envision, do you know, right
Okay.
across from that Dairy Queen?
Yep,
Okay.
yep, yeah.
Whether it be lots of swings or in
Yeah.
other words, efficient in soccer fields.
Sure.
Always, you know, and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So and I can never remember who owns that property, as if it's Troutdale's or if it was given
Yeah, I
to
can't
us to
remember. I know
care
that
for
like
it.
I think that it was, from what I remember, it like it was either given to or like is part of like Mount Hood Community College's area. And
Yeah,
I don't know if I don't think they can build or do anything on it, but on my way home from my younger son's baseball last night, there was a couple cars that were in there that were all muddy. So yes, I think keep doing something with that other than people floor-buying through there would be a great.
right, yeah, okay, that's just a suggestion. And I don't know if you'd be willing to say, but what year did you graduate Reynolds High School?
97.
97, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a few years before my kids, just trying to see if you went to school with them.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. I feel older and older as I play like it's like an adult league basketball, but I'm no shape that I used to be in. But we played back-to-back games, and one of the kids, because he's 19, he was playing with us. He's like, oh man, I'm just so tired. And I'm like, I am literally 25 years older than you. Like, I can be your dad. Like, you don't get to say you're tired. I get to say that.
Yeah, well, I'm very happy that you care about this community, that you're involved, and that you are caring about how we are living now, but also in the future. So, because, you know, a lot of us do care about making this a safe, vibrant community that we can enjoy, and then tourists and other people come to and then spend their money, so then we can keep those businesses open and, you know, get more boutique type, you know.
Yeah. I think we've done a
shops.
great job with downtown, like since I've been here. I mean, just like what it used to be to where it is now is really kind of cool to see. Like, we love coming down and going, whether it's going to dinner at a pizza place or the Italian restaurant, or like I get my friend of ours, she owns a salon at the end, and like just getting her haircut. Like, it's just nice to come down and like you can walk, and it's like, I don't know, it's just nice to be down there and a cute little place that you can go and feel kind of at home. And that's yours, so that's really nice.
Any other questions? Alexander? Paul? Adrian? All right.
And I would just say that if anybody has any, like anything comes to mind, or you guys have any questions, concerns, or just like general observations, like, yeah, feel free to email me, and I do check my email and try to get back to people when they do, just at least to say, I want people to feel heard. I think that's really important for people to feel heard and feel like they have a say or have a voice. And then, it's kind of like I said, it's a new venture for me, like into this, and seeing all these committees and like going through, especially with the urban renewal project, like that, going through that and seeing how everything intertwines together is a big headache, but at the same time, like really cool to see like people coming together to accomplish something. So, yeah. Perfect.
Thank you for joining us tonight and introducing yourself.
Yeah.
And it's good to get to know. We see Sandy every
Yeah.
week, and it's nice to get to know the people we help serve.
Yeah, perfect. Man, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Council appointment discussion. Did all of you have the opportunity to read Paul Wilcox's public comment? And then I think, Victoria, you have some information to share on this topic?
So I did some research, and I looked at our charter and 3 cities around us, Wood Village, sorry. Doctor says I'm losing my voice, so. Gresham and Fairview. And our charter matches theirs on if the counselor leaves the position, and there's more than 3 years, then you take it to the next, election. So, and we pretty much match all the other cities. Now, the mayor is different, like Paul noted, because they're not appointed. So you have to have a special election and get them, because there is no one to appoint them. So, I don't know what we could do differently. And I'm just looking up, I didn't look up the state law. Not much. But I think the reason is too, if we had special elections every time a counselor resigned or something happened, it's very expensive. So we have to wait for that next general election. And it is in our charter already that we're supposed to do that. So.
What about, I'm looking at, I don't like the word transparency here because I don't think it fits, but having city councilors review the applications and appoint a fellow city councilor without any citizen input at all seems not to be in their best interest, right? That it might be, it might look better, be perceived better if there was some sort of citizens advisory board, or, I mean, like we do for the committees, right? When we're reviewing committee applications and appointing committee members. Just having, even if we just review the applications and submit the top 3 or something, as opposed to having no citizen involvement at all in that appointment. Those are my thoughts, is that it might be more, it might be better perceived to have some citizen input in those appointments.
I agree. It should be posted. And then like a public hearing and people.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Also, I was very surprised I didn't read the documents that you have, Victoria, but that I would think that there should be the opportunity for the public to have kind of more knowledge of that taking place. And then, as you said, some opportunity for there to be some feedback or discussion or input from the greater community on that selection.
We did have quite a few candidates this time.
Yeah, there were a lot.
And they did post all their applications online.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that one of the things that's really difficult about getting word out to people is there doesn't seem to be any one particular place that you can go. I mean, we all know the website is there, but I can't even tell you how many times in the committees that I've audited, and the 2 committees I'm on, and we've all heard it, where you hear, we didn't know. How do you get that information out there? There's no good way to get it out there. But at least being able to say, we tried, and we had a citizens review board, or we had some sort of citizen input, or a public hearing, or an open house, and if nobody shows up, hallelujah, you had it anyway, and you've done your due diligence so that that perception out there is just a little bit higher.
Okay, I want to say, I'm glad you looked at what the other cities were doing, because a lot of times there's a lot of thought and a lot of work in the history that goes into the decisions that we make and what we currently have on the books presently. What was I going to say? I did try to reach out to Randy Lauer because I've never heard anybody ever identify an issue with the way that things were done. Like, again, if it was past 3 years, then did you say it goes automatically to the next election? Is that what you're saying?
So the Nick Moon position should go to the next election, general election. Yeah. So that won't be for 2 years. So he should only be appointed for 2 years.
Right.
And then we elect somebody and then he.
Okay, and then we do, okay, so I think it's there for a reason, the way it's written, and then it's hard to go into the history, why we decided and how it was working and, you know, why we chose that way. Again, besides Paul mentioning that there's an issue with this, I've never heard of an issue at every council. I've been going to council meetings for about 15 years. So I've never heard this be brought up before. As far as the councilors are duly elected by the people, so I feel that they have an idea of who they've worked with, who they could work with, who has volunteered, have the ability to make decisions. So, but the idea that more effort into letting everybody know those opportunities, I think that's a really good, to me, that would be the change that I would think would be wonderful. So that they're, because the cool thing was that I believe everybody on every committee knew that these positions were open. Mm-hmm. So that's a good thing, and that's where people that choose to volunteer, regardless of what their credentials are, their degrees or whatever. And then one of the gentlemen that put their name in, and they were asking that if you didn't get in, would you still serve? And I think that was a wonderful question, because I don't think any position is above us or below us. That anybody that cares for Troutdale would be grateful to have the opportunity to join any one of the committees and get to know people, because that's one thing that's, I think, is very important. Usually when counselors want to be elected, a lot of times they're out there, and like I've helped good counselors try to run, and you go door to door, and the most funnest part is meeting people and just asking them. I'd ask them, what do you think our biggest need is? You know, what's great about it, but what's the problem? And so I always thought that, you know, a good rule would have been that you had served on the city committee for 2 years. So for me, the way that they selected and knowing who's serving, who's contributing, who's coming to extra council meetings, who's coming to planning meetings, who's comprehending, who's understanding, who just wants me to serve. One of the persons that tried to get in and he didn't get in, and he quit another position he had. And so it's like, okay, you know, it's like I would have been more impressed if that person stayed on and continued to do the position that they were doing the citizen involvement position in. So I'm personally saying I don't feel that there's a flaw in it. I do feel that there's an awesome opportunity to let everybody know more about it, or even have some paperwork for all the committee members, that little extra. Do you know what your council, members do, or even like encourage all of us right now at this time to do a checkbox. Like, it'd be great if you would go to 1 planning meeting a year, 3 council meetings a year. Has anybody been to the Parks Committee meeting? Do you know what I mean? Just things like that to encourage the pool of people who want to serve at any level within the city of Troutdale, to encourage them to go to more things. The more planning meeting I go to, I'm just like, oh, this is just awesome. sometimes it may be perceived as boring, but it's the nuts and the bolts of how things work, decisions that get made, the planning decisions. It's exciting to me. And I feel we should all be supporting the other groups. And like, I was really saddened when we picked Imagination Station. It was me and one other person that listened to all those interviews at the Parks meetings, that was sitting in the audience. And that was very, very sad moment for me, because everybody gave up, I think it was over an hour presentation. And there was differences between each person that had the applicant, and you got to see some things that might work with our community and things that didn't work with our community. So, I'm really for committee members to rise up through the ranks. So that's why I believe what I believe. It's my opinion.
On right on the website too, it says that Jordan's position is only partial term.
Oh, right.
And so we will be voting on it. We just can't do it that soon because it's very expensive.
Chris?
Right. And I guess one thought that I would share is that I feel like, having witnessed that process and seeing the outcome, I feel like it was very fair in that they chose Jordan, seeing how dedicated he's been to the city and serving on all the different committees and things.
I agree with some of the stuff that Diane was saying, but I was coming to this meeting tonight too, to say that I think perhaps, though, maybe there should be some minimum requirements before you get on city council. Like you have to serve on one of the committees, because I feel like I'm learning a lot just being on this committee for the first time. And I just think that prepares you better to serve in the counselor position. So I would be a proponent of us having some minimum requirements for the council.
The problem with that is the applicants, right?
They can, as long as they serve first before on a committee.
Great. No committee members want to, in this case, we were very fortunate. We had Chris, we had Jordan, and we had Rich Allen. All three applied, but that isn't always going to be the case. So you have to make the decision based on the applications that you receive. And if nobody applies that has been on a committee, then setting that minimum requirement means that all of those applications that have been submitted are not up for consideration because they don't meet the minimum requirements.
I just think when you come in new to this, unless you have experience somewhere else, I'm sorry, I don't think you'll be an effective council person.
I agree. I think being a committee member is a vital part of being a city councilor. The problem is not all committee members, and sometimes no committee members can apply or do apply, maybe can't apply. We were really fortunate. I don't know, this was the first time I've actually participated in that process. I was able to watch all the interviews and how the selection process went, and it was so interesting. My only thought is having some objective citizen participation is not necessarily out of order here.
Right, I don't think I object to that. I think that's probably fine. I'd like to see minimum requirements. But that's just, I still think that there would be people that would apply that, they could have taken a break from service, but they are familiar. They have served on a committee in some capacity, and maybe they had to step away for a while, and then now they're back. But I just feel like that knowledge that's gained from learning how the city works in these various committees.
I agree.
I understand what you're saying, because Jeffrey, for me, going to the council meetings is doing quite well. So But
I'm
I don't think there's anything wrong with a high recommendation, that we value the committee members and wish that, you know, it's just like kind of like a CAC proclamation, that we feel that there's a learning curve in serving council, and they are well educated by participating in or going to planning committee meetings, council meetings, and other meetings, and having visited and seeing what they do and understand what they do, you know, and I've seen many counselors in the past do that. You know, they have a concern and then it involves them, and then you get involved, and then all of a sudden it's about everybody else. But that learning curve, oh my goodness, I think sometimes it takes 4 years or 5 years. And so I don't know, so maybe a recommendation, if nothing else, you know, some type of suggestion to the community that, you know, this is what we feel would make a good council, and have them well prepared to be able to come in and be able to meaningfully contribute as representing us.
The only problem with that is too, you can get somebody that moved from Gresham and was on everything on Gresham to Troutdale, but they haven't been in Troutdale. It'd be very tricky on wording it right and not being discriminatory and things like that. I think I like Jordan too, because he had a whole list of people that endorsed him. And I think that's good. Maybe have some of those people come in, like the public, let them speak. But I think putting restrictions, and like you said, we may not get anybody. I think putting it in the charter for restrictions would be very iffy. And no one has that. Everybody's pretty. And like Diane said, the counselors made a, you know, good choice. And they looked at all the candidates, and so.
I guess I'm not thinking just for an appointment. I'm talking for general election, people that are, even to run in the general election, you can't put your name in the hat to run if you haven't at least.
But I think.
Because I think you can't be an effective counselor till you know how the city works. and you've
Yeah,
worked
but
in this stuff.
it's not very American. I mean, that you can say, only these people
Yeah.
can run.
Well, I think that I again think we don't serve our community well if we.
It's not a paid position that you
No, it
can
isn't.
put those restrictions on them.
Well,
It's a volunteer,
I know, yeah, but I guess.
and you have to be fair, you know, to everybody. And if there's somebody that's out of the blue,
Well, I guess it's an unknown commodity. So I guess that's the thing, I think, is you know the work ethic of someone who's volunteered. So, but I guess the thing is, the voters, if they don't do any research, but again, I just was trying to make it so that we just get people that we know.
yeah. Oh, I
Gonna be a
understand,
better
but
I mean, and I'm not criticizing anyone that we have currently. I'm just, seems like when we were talking about this and possibly looking at how we named people to the positions, that we just want to, do we want to have some minimum requirements? A lot of times positions do have minimum requirements before you can do something. Taking classes, you know, you have to have minimum, you can't take this.
Yeah,
class
but
before you
that's-
like that. I mean,
that's not a government elected thing,
I'm gonna
yeah.
ask that we allow Will to speak.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Go ahead, Will.
Hey everyone, nice to see everyone. First off, just wanted to apologize for my tardiness today. Coming in from a trip out of town and traffic got me a little behind. So first off, just want to apologize for that. And then secondly, kind of want to, I guess, maybe share a different perspective or a different idea that kind of came into my head. And maybe it's bigger than anything we'll ever encounter here in Troutdale, but I guess maybe more just like in my head spinning, I'm like, oh, that potential, this idea about appointments has echoes with other things that are happening in our state that happen at a higher level. And those same things that I find is maybe like, oh, that's not that awesome, could potentially then come here. And so bear with me as I go through this. A lot of times my mind thinks fast and my mouth can speak the words. So if I get to a point where it's confusing, please let me know. The thing that I'm thinking of is how in Oregon, the governor has been allowed, and nobody's really said anything against it, for basically appointing their own judges over the last few years. And we all know that when an incumbent goes to an election, the challenger rarely wins, right? Like the incumbent is the one that people know the name, they've heard it, they know this person. So the challenger is generally not going to win against an incumbent. So what's happened the past few years, and actually I looked it up tonight, 62 times this has happened. Kate Brown, the last governor, appointed judges that were supposed to have gone through the election process. And what happens is the incumbent goes in and wins the election, immediately resigns, and allows the governor to hand pick her own replacement, which then becomes the incumbent at the next election. Now, when Paul originally brought that up, I was like, holy cow, something. I see that in our state government is like, maybe should have some more discussion whether that's appropriate or not. Then this was brought up here, and that's when I felt like it'd be appropriate to at least have a discussion and make sure that those sorts of things may not happen here. So if I were to apply that same sort of principle to how it could potentially be used in a negative way here in Troutdale, could potentially look something like, hey, we've got a contingency of people that really want to paint the streets purple and keep them maintained as purple, but there's a growing sentiment of folks that don't really want that in Troutdale anymore. Well, the council that wants the purple now wants to keep the same number of people voting for purple streets on there, so they use the top 3 to get the incumbent name reelected. They immediately quit, and now the council that has the purple street majority gets to handpick the replacement now, right? Of course, that's super devious, and hopefully that never happens. But if you extrapolate what's currently happening in our state government to what could potentially happen here, I think, to me, it kind of put a little light bulb on, oh, wow, that is potentially something a negative that could happen. And I hope it doesn't, but without the rules being changed, like, it's definitely a possibility. I think I wish, I'm not sure, maybe we had it already read or entered before I was here, but I believe Paul submitted his first case that really lined out a lot of information. I maybe would like to be able to have a chance to review that. I didn't see it in the packet for this time. I just saw the forwarded email. Another thing that I would kind of like to know too is exactly what would it cost? I know a lot of times for me, the fear of the unknown keeps me from, going down a certain path. But if I know it costs $10 versus 10 million, that maybe changed my perspective on it a little bit. I think that's all I really have for now. I'll turn it back over to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Will. Sorry. Grace, resume your
I
discussion.
totally think that's a very valid point what Will's brought up, and I think your idea too, which you guys all, seems like some panel or some way to review, so it's a little bit more transparent. They don't, I guess we know our council isn't malicious or like that, but I guess if that was to come at some point, be more transparent. So that is a very valid point what Will's brought up, I think.
I'm understanding what Will's saying. I think it applies more with the judges than it does with the council. With the scenario that people less than honest do something to, they have the majority, okay, let's say you have the majority council that is like-minded and they're trying to push through something. one of those majority like-minded people, which normally shouldn't happen, you should be representing the citizens of Troutdale, would let somebody who's going to go early, but then they have somebody in mind to appoint to have some like-minded person to push through a certain agenda. It's happened once. Okay, I'm not going to go into specifics, but the thing is, when we appoint our counselors, we have to just have basically positive expectation for the scenario that Will is speaking of. I've only seen it in the last 15-ish or plus years. That occurred one time. And when people have a supermajority that aren't working for the best interests of the citizens of Troutdale, it's always not pretty anyway. I mean, it is what it is. The governor thing, that's just unconscionable. It makes no sense whatsoever. Right before, like you said, they're going to retire, they quit, and then they get appointed. So that seems to be premeditated. And I'm just saying, I haven't seen it except for one time happen in Troutdale.
Can I ask a clarifying question? So it sounds like, Shelley, you were invited to kind of watch the process of them vetting.
That was an open public forum.
Oh, okay.
Everybody could watch it. I just happened to be interested and watched it.
Yeah. I unfortunately was not aware of that. I go to the website, but apparently did not dig deep enough. Was the public able to comment at that time?
That's interesting. Not that I noticed. I don't believe so.
Okay.
I mean, maybe we were. I think
I
we're
did.
always invited to.
I did comment.
Did you?
I accidentally came to the meeting because I thought it was the council meeting, and I was sitting there, and I was able to comment before they made their choice. Yeah.
Okay, so there was an opportunity to give some feedback in the current process. Okay. It's good enough. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on this topic? Do we want to lay it to rest? Do we want to make a recommendation? Do we want a bottom line? I'm getting the sense, my sense from the overall discussion is, so far at least, that there is no overwhelming feeling that we need to change the system from what it is at the moment. Paul, you have something?
Hey, sorry, quick question. I would like to maybe just at least request to find out what the approximate cost of a special election would be, just for my own benefit. I definitely trust our budget committee expert there, and definitely understand, but I'd just like to know a number, if that's possible at least.
I'll try and find out.
Victoria said she'll try to find out. Paul?
Thank you, Sally. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, wasn't sure I pressed all the right buttons. First off, I wanted to see if I don't want to leave Adrian out in the dark. Is it possible for him to get a printed copy of my public comment?
He got it, he says.
Oh, great. Okay. I wanted to specifically address some of the issues Victoria addressed in particular. She said she was comparing how surrounding cities address this in their charters. That's true. You'll find almost identical language because most cities throughout the state are using the League of Oregon Cities Model Charter. And in some sections, it's essentially word for word, copy pasted practically. In the case of Gresham and Fairview, Victoria was pointing out that the vacancy in mayor for Troutdale has to go to election. But in Gresham and Fairview, a vacancy in the mayor's office is appointed by the council. You know, even $100,000 population city like Gresham, if the mayor resigns at the end of 2 years, for example, halfway through his term, his or her term, the balance of that 4-year term, you've got an appointee, a council appointed mayor for 2 years. So that's kind of interesting. I think the election requirement for mayor for Troutdale it's been in the current charter since '94 when the charter was redone. I don't know what it looked like before '94, but anyway, I just wanted to make that distinction that other cities treat a vacancy for mayor differently. As far as the cost of a special election, I have no idea. I've checked with the county elections board, and they say that the city does pay, but I have no idea what the figure would be. I have seen the council donate $10,000 in the last couple of meetings to public events. So I'm sure it would be less than that, I'm pretty sure. Let's see if I have anything else. One issue I have with Troutdale in particular, Troutdale seems to have a history of midterm counselors running for mayor, which I kind of emphasized in my most recent submission. So it seems like, like I was saying in my public comment, whenever you have that situation, you're also opening it up for a potential appointment if that midterm counselor is elected mayor. So I just wanted to reemphasize that. It's a recurring theme in Troutdale. And the last election, I was just looking up the numbers earlier. If Councilor Ribma only lost by 107 votes in the last election for mayor, so if he had, if he had gotten 108 more votes, he would have been mayor, and his council seat would have been up for appointment. So you would have had 2 appointments coming up. So I think that covers it. Thank you for your attention and time.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was only discussing the council members. I didn't get into the mayor. Anyway, Reynolds School Board, same thing. If a position comes open, they have to appoint it. And then the next general election, they elect it. So it's not just the city. And the reason why, and the city does have to, if we ask for the special election, we have to foot the bill. And we have to go through the Secretary of State. The state prints the ballots and all the little notices that have to go out. It's very, and then the state's sending us the bill. We can't go and look for the cheapest person to do this. So it's gonna be expensive. I'll see what I can find out, but that's just my answer for that. I know since we have to go through the state, it's expensive.
Any other? Chris?
So I guess in thinking about it, I agree with what Will said, but I would like to add to that, if I could, that I'm also interested to know what the timeline of a special election would be.
And so we just had our election. So in 2 years, we have to wait for the next general election. So.
Well, but what I mean is if we were to have a special election, how much time would it take to go from vacancy announced to new councilors elected?
Oh, if we had a special election?
Yeah, I'm wondering how long that would take to go from point A to point B.
It would depend how fast we move to get the special election, and then as soon as it's voted on, then they're the counselor.
Right, well, the reason I'm bringing it up is because one thing I'm thinking about is because since in this scenario, there's only a partial term that they would be appointed for, my concern is how long that would take, because that, if it takes too long, that would seem like a lot for them to have to do a special election and turn around and prepare for a regular election, assuming that they want to serve for more than just the partial term.
Well, no, we appoint them, then the next election comes up, and then we vote. So all of us could enter. And we do the top three, or no, the top one.
And you know what, that might be a reason why it's appointed, because then you're left with 6 people. And if that election takes a long time to do, then you could, in theory, have a lot of ties. So that odd number, is valuable.
Well,
for
actually,
voting.
yeah, the next special election will be the other ones that are up for counseling. And so,
Well,
and you'll only have that one person will only have 1 year left. So the one that, let's say Jordan got out. For some reason, he's not elected in the next special election. Whoever is elected, or if Jordan was elected, there'd just be 1 year left on that term.
Shelley?
1 second, Paul. Will, go
Sure.
ahead.
Thanks.
Hey, thanks. Sorry, Paul, I'll be quick. Chris, I think I understand what you were trying to say there, and that makes sense. That if, let's say it was, 2 months before the general election or 6 months before the general election, and this happened, we wouldn't want to necessarily call a special election. So maybe if there was some sort of discussion about reform going forward, that might be something to consider. That being also, maybe we could somehow, if this goes forward in a discussion for reform, tie in the top 3, the new top 3, and well, there's a third person that just got booted. Like, how does that work? We just had one. Maybe they could be tapped as like, you're next in line. Sorry you lost, but you're the alternate. Remember, we got an alternate here. Maybe we could somehow incorporate that. That being said, I guess my personal thought on it is I would be up for a discussion about reform, but it's not a passion project for me. So if this doesn't go forward, it is what it is. But anyway, that was my thoughts. Cost, timeline, maybe somehow including the top 3 that we just had and now added in as a potential way to change it. And either way it goes.
Thank you, Will. Paul?
Thank you, Shelley. I wanted to address Chris's question with a specific example. The county commission in the November election, one of the commissioners was elected commission chair, which left her commission seat vacant. Someone was appointed to that vacancy temporarily, and they're having a May election to fill that position for the 1.5 years remaining in that term. So I just wanted to kind of describe that time schedule, the way they're handling it, and their schedule for or I don't know what word to use for it exactly, but the way they handle vacancies, if it's more than a year, it goes to election. If it's less than a year, it goes to appointment. If it's less than 3 months, it's left vacant. Because if it's 3 months before the general election, there's no point in appointing somebody. It'd be not worth the trouble. So I kind of like their schedule, the way it's laid out. But I really have a problem with 2-year appointees.
Thank you. My only concern with the special election is that, I mean, for this purpose, we had 3 vacancies, 4 people ran. The application process for appointment is a lot different than running, right? I mean, it's a huge difference. So I'm thinking that if we did a special election, all we're gonna get is the one person that ran and wasn't elected, right? So not knowing exactly how a special elections work, that would be my concern, is that the candidate pool in running versus appointment would be hugely reduced
You have to leave enough time for people to apply.
to people.
And you have to make it known
Yeah.
that people have to apply. It's just like a regular election.
And then by
That's
that
why
time-
you're probably looking at 6 to 8 months before you'd actually even have it.
Right.
And then, so, and that's minimum.
That makes sense.
I just have one comment about I'm not in favor of, I think this is what Will was suggesting, that if like you had the top 3 and then there was, you picked the 3 and then there was that 4th person and then they would be appointed if anything opened up. Your vote has to count, and I'm sorry to say that, well, I'm just gonna be blunt. A lot of people specifically voted for Nick Moon to not have that person that did not get appointed. And because people wanted more of a choice. So a lot of people purposely did that. So when, because not wanting that individual, then it would go to appointment. And then, I'm just saying, so your vote has to count. If it's top 3, you're picking 3. You're not picking an alternative. That extra person that was on there, maybe because there wasn't 7, there was just that 4th one. You're not chosen by the people. You chose the 3. And then it's done, finished, process is over. And then you move on to the next process. That's just my thoughts on that.
Adrian?
Yeah, so 2 things. One, I can come up there if you want me to.
Sure,
otherwise I think
which,
I'm loud enough.
as long as we can hear you, you're.
One, to sort of address Will's comment, concern about the way the judiciary is handled at the state level. I think in Troutdale, that's, to me, a far less concern because the application process is open. The final candidates aren't being appointed, say, by the mayor. It is an open application process. Anybody who wanted to, that was so motivated, could come in and apply and go through that whole process. So I don't think we necessarily have to worry about that quite so much. It is still somewhat of a concern, but modified somewhat by the open nature of the application process. And then the other thing is, I'm blanking on it. My apologies. I'm sorry, I had it in my head and I forgot that. Let's see. Yeah, no, that was the main thing, if I remember it.
If it comes to you, just pipe up. Any other questions or comments?
Oh, I remember.
Mhm.
So for most voters, when you're coming into an election, unless you really go in and do independent research on the candidate, what you know of the candidate is the bio and the write-up that's in the election campaign. Personally, I learned a lot more about the people going through the process by being motivated and watching the interview process than I ever would have picked up out of the election. So, I mean, granted, the number of people that chose to participate in that and listening to all those interviews could probably be counted on one hand, other than the counselors that were directly involved in the other candidates. But it was still, I think, for the people who were so informed and so motivated, a more informative process.
The other thing I was thinking, if we really wanted to change it, you have the city council. And then just like the budget committee, we have regular citizens that are on the budget committee. So you have your two groups that are both going to decide who's appointed. So, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So you have your group of citizens and the council, and they'll decide the appointment. If people are wary of just the counselors doing it, which I haven't seen a problem with it so far, but that's just a thought.
Any other thoughts? Chris?
Sorry, I was reviewing one of the letters that Paul wrote us about that. I guess one other thought that I had on this matter is looking at what he wrote, that there's only been like a handful, like less than 10 times when we've had this scenario come up, so it's not like it's been happening that frequently in the city's history, especially when the city's been around for over 100 years.
Fair statement. All right. Any further discussion? Do we have any recommendations we want to make to city council, or are we deciding to leave things as they stand without further input?
Well, I know that it sounds like Will is interested in more information, and perhaps that warrants a little more discussion, so I would tend to motion towards tabling this and continuing the discussion after we have that information.
Okay,
I would second that.
okay. We have a motion and we have a second. Do we want to aye, or do we need to roll call?
I'll just do an eye.
Just do an aye. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Discussion tabled until we have the information that Will has requested on special elections. All right. Hosting the 2024 meet and greet council elections. I don't know about this one.
Do we have council elections this year?
That's next year.
I think it's for next year.
Is it for next year?
Oh,
Yeah.
this topic,
Yeah.
I recall at our last CAC meeting, it was brought up that we'd like to host one in the future, so I think this would be 2024. But, so that's a ways away, but if you'd like to start talking about it, I did check with senior leadership and they said that it would be fine for CAC to host an open house. So we have the green light, and if you'd like to chat about it tonight, you're welcome to, and if you'd like to table it for a future meeting close to that date, that would be fine too, or maybe it'll come up a couple times between now and then. But if I remember right, I think maybe Diane, did you suggest this idea?
Yeah, yes, because I was saying that a lot of times when, I mean, people I don't know, I'll Facebook, I'll just try to see any which way that I could see how they've been involved in the public, or, you know, a little bit more about them or anything, but that for the public to have the opportunity to get to know those that are interested in running, that the city union used to have a question answer, and the West Columbia Gorge Chamber of Commerce used to have that, so there was a couple of opportunities, but we have the opportunity also to be, not to say that the city union is biased, but we have an opportunity to just be representing the public and asking questions, which, I forget what your name is? Adrian. Adrian brought up a good point. Those questions that were asked when I was at the meeting, those were very telling. So, you know, we might later on just even look at those questions that the counselors ask, but we'd be kind of getting a sneak peek of, you know, if they're willing to participate and getting some of those answers ahead of time to really get to know them. Because those were good questions that were asked.
I'm with you. I actually really liked the if you aren't appointed tonight, are you willing to serve on any of the committees? Adrian, I think you're the only application, to be honest. I think so. I thought that was not just telling, but really gave you an insight as to what the city councilors were looking for, which is somebody who was interested in serving Troutdale. So I agree. I was really impressed with the questions that they asked, the application process. I believe the applications were available online for people to review ahead of time. I thought overall the application process was great.
Also at the city union, when they did the question and answer, it was videotaped. So anybody who didn't get to go to that, and you know, what be a better way to be transparent if you want to run for council? You're going to be doing that all the time anyway. Do you know what I mean? Being out in the public and their videotaped and audioed. So it's you know, so we could keep playing it, you know,
and to be able to ask those questions before the actual appointment. To have citizens ask those questions before the actual appointment also gives the people that are running an idea of what we're looking for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then doing some version of that, and then maybe throw in a couple of audience questions, something that's, you know, as long as it's appropriate, you know, and maybe maybe you and Chris look at that and make that determination, you know, as chair and co-chair, you know, so then kind of mix it up just a bit. Yeah.
I think it's a great idea. I would love this committee to have like a goal, oops.
Oh, no, just no for future. You know,
or something to be working towards. I think this would be really great for the community to have. Sorry, Will.
Sorry, Will, it's really hard for me to see you for some reason and pay attention to the auditorium too. So
don't even stress. Yeah, don't even stress. You guys do it, and I'll just wait until the end. You guys are all done. Don't even worry about me. It was mostly just repeating what basically Twyla and some other folks had said, and that's that I am super for if it's us as a committee taking it on, but hosting some sort of general discussion meeting, having it televised, put on the website, put on social media, whatever it is, because to me it's absolutely mind-blowing that one of our previous mayors literally I've never seen him once other than at the meetings, never seen him around town, never came to a meeting ever. You put 1-2 paragraph statement in a thing and all of a sudden you're mayor. Like, that's wild to me. I would love more to bridge that gap and to know who it is that we're electing as our leaders before the pamphlet comes out. So whatever we can do to help with that, I'll volunteer to be on that committee, help write the things, upload it to the website, whatever I can do. So I just wanted to share my support for that.
I'm with you, Will. I agree. I fully support any introduction we can make to people interested in running for city council. Go ahead.
I just wanted to ask, Diane, could you repeat what it was you were suggesting that Shelley and I look into? I'm sorry, I just spaced it, so I didn't.
Oh, I was just saying, besides the regular questions, the audience might have a couple of questions, and then you guys might, you know, gather a couple of them, and then I'm just saying that because, you know, there's things that are appropriate and positive and things that aren't. So, you know, so that's all I was saying, you know, just to mix it up a bit, have that way the audience that comes, you know, they got to participate, you know, as well.
Yep. Any other questions or comments on this particular topic? Do we want to, can we docket this to, let's see, when are the 2024 city council elections? Probably November, right?
I think it's all in November.
Docket it for 6 months before the election to discuss this again. Does 6 months give us enough time?
I would say 8.
8 months, thank you. 8 months before the next election?
Sounds good.
Is it,
Does that sound good?
I think Will was, he trying to say something?
Will, did you have something?
Will's frozen.
I see that.
What's the submission deadline for running for council?
But not like ice cream.
We lost you, Will.
yeah, I'm sorry, I froze. Is this for 23 or 24? When is our next election? It's gonna be
24. And Alexander was suggesting that we would want to readdress this topic 8 months before the next election and start planning. Does that sound agreeable?
It might be, we might look at it 8 months prior to when the due date is to submission, which is, I think it's like August 8th or something like that. We might do 8 months before that, so we could, like, if Will's wanting to tape it, and you know, if we can plan it out, like just a couple of months, it only takes 2 or 3 months, then that way we already have it, and then the staff has time to do what they're you know, helping and, you know, facilitating, and then it's okay to be done early than to not have people have enough time to do it. So January, March, April, May, June, I would say January.
And we would want to have the meet and greet before the submission deadline or after the submission deadline?
After the submission deadline.
After the submission deadline. Okay, perfect. Any other questions or feedback at this time?
Yeah, we had a question out the audience.
That was exactly it. It was like, it was basically, I was asking when the submission deadline was, because you want to meet the brief probably not too long after that deadline.
Yeah. All right. Then we will table this topic until January, is that right? January. Staff communications, Melissa.
Thank you. I do have a couple updates before I say goodbye. So I'll start with Main Streets on Halsey. This is a project we've been working on with Fairview and Wood Village and Multnomah County, Troutdale. This project, the staff liaison will be Marley for a time, which is great. She's worked on a couple different versions in past Main Streets on Halsey projects. So that continuity, I think, will be really good for Troutdale. We are coming up to the point of this project where we're starting to draw some ideas for how the street section will look. So the previous project was about the land use around Halsey. This project's about the street design. And we'll have a 10% design. It'll have some information like how many lanes, how wide should the sidewalk be, what kind of street furniture will there be, these types of things. So there'll be some actual ideas to choose from pretty soon. And the way we're going to share it with the public is to have a series of public events with outreach booths. And so you're encouraged to come in person and give comment. We will have a booth at the first Friday in June. So please come on out and see what might be in store for Halsey and give your feedback on what's been drawn up. Let's say one more. Oh, and then please check out the website as well. There'll be an article in the Next Champion if you need to see the website with a QR code. And you can get on the email list so you can get updates directly on it to keep in touch with it. So I hope you do that, and thanks for all your feedback on it so far and sharing the survey. As far as other projects I'm working on, the Sandy River Front Trail, we have a grant specialist Bill Peterson, and he is the retired city manager for Wood Village, so he'll be carrying forward that project. We'll have, let's see, who else? Oh, for CAC, you'll have Chrisanne will be continuing with you. I'm very happy for that. And at the next meeting, you'll have David, our community development director, and he'll be sitting with you for a time too. Other staff news today, our other associate planner, Alex Lopez, has given his 2 weeks notice. So he has accepted a planning position with City of Portland, and he does our current planning development review, and he'll be doing development review for Portland as well. So wish him well on that new career adventure for him too. Let's see, we did get official resignation from David Wheaton as well for our CAC. So let's see, and then gosh, primarily I wanted to say thank you to all of you. This is my last day, this is my last couple minutes. But I really wanted to be able to say goodbye to CAC. You've been a big part of being here for me in Troutdale, and being part of this committee and working with you all is really what made me feel like part of Troutdale. So thank you so much. And it's been so interesting to hear your discussions and get your feedback. I really like the way you discuss and tackle these. We've had some tough projects this year and a half that I've been with you. So I just really appreciate how thoughtful you all are. And I'll miss this, I'll miss you guys, and I hope that I see you at a future First Friday. I know Troutdale really shines on those days, so I'll be sure to be back in the future, so I'll say hi. Thank you, truly.
Thank you, Melissa.
All right. Committee member comments. Let's start with Shelby.
Well, congratulations to you, Melissa. It's just really exciting for you. Really happy for you. We'll miss you though. And otherwise, I'm glad we're making some progress. We're talking about stuff that we talked about tonight. So I guess I really have nothing else. Thanks.
Diane?
Okay, I just want to thank you again, Melissa, because you heard us and you worked with us, and it was just really nice being our team leader. That was lovely. Thank you so much. Also then, I was going to tell you, visit us on September 1st, Friday. The concert at the Troutdale Historical Society is Josh Putnam, and that'll be a lovely evening. The sun always sets. We have a cool breeze. We're in the shade. Anybody sitting on the lawn, we have free popcorn and lemonade, and people bring their blankets. And then I'm trying to get a hold of Marley to make sure the shuttle is still stopping there too, and then so people can do the First Friday or whatever. So that's going to be a really good concert if you can make it to that one. And a good meeting, and I think that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I just want to say congratulations, and I have truly appreciated your leadership and everything you've done to help us understand all the issues and things that you have brought to us. It's really been great, and I've learned so much from you, so thank you. Two other things, just wanted to share how exciting it has been in the last couple of weeks with the smelt run down there on the Sandy. I was down with my family almost every single day counting fish, and it was just great to see the community out. It's great to see people in the businesses, but I really love seeing people out in nature and really taking advantage of that beauty that we have where we live. And then my second is just an idea for maybe future discussion. I know there's been a lot of news lately about the Multnomah County Animal Shelter and that being in Troutdale and having some issues around some things in the news. So I would love to learn more about that if other people also would, to see exactly maybe if we could help or support or something like that, because it's hard to see that news when it's right here in our backyard.
Thank you, Twyla. Chris?
Well, I guess I'll throw in my congratulations, and I've really enjoyed the time we've had with you here.
Thank you, Chris.
Victoria?
And this is from Oliver.
Oh, that was
Thank you
kind
so
of
much.
you. That was so kind of you. Thank you.
We'll miss ya.
Oh, we will. All right, Alexander.
Melissa, it's been great having you at the helm. I don't know which sea we would have ended up in if you hadn't been there. So that was terrific. You've done a great job, and I hope Vancouver treats you well. I want to thank Sandy also for coming once again, and this was a good, healthy discussion among us all. I thought that was great. I will see you next month.
And Will?
Yeah, great idea there, Twyla, about the Multnomah County Animal Shelter. I guess expanding upon that thought, were you suggesting asking to have like a presentation or more information, or maybe if there's information we can bring, or I guess yeah, I'd be interested in spending a few minutes on that in a future meeting as well. Secondly, yeah, great comment as well about the smell. I want to thank Diane and Glenn for continuing to be the smelt liaisons for Troutdale and the rest of the world. Their property is the epicenter, and if you ever need to know where to go or where to borrow a net from, Glenn and Diane continually do that. So I just really appreciate you guys for keeping that tradition alive. And then, you know, of course, last but not least, Melissa, awesome job. I just really appreciate from day one, like how on top of it, how organized and dedicated to what you're doing and helping and supporting us like from day one, like just absolute amazing organization and just being super on top of it. So I just really appreciated your company with us on this journey that while you've been here, and we'll hopefully see you at future First Fridays and whatnot around town. So thanks again, everyone. I really appreciate you, and I hope to see you all again soon.
Thank you. All right, and I have a couple of things I want to say. Melissa, it is us that needs to thank you. You come to every meeting with a smile and the information that we've requested. You're always prepared. You're always here early. I always think I'm gonna beat you here. I never do. Thank you. We are truly gonna miss you. And then I want to say thank you to everybody else here. We have just such a wonderful opportunity. You all provide such a wonderful, safe environment to have discussions, whether or not we all agree on a topic, or we disagree, or we have different ideas. It really is wonderful to be able to discuss it with a group of such intelligent, well-informed, diverse people who care so much about the city where we live. And I just want to say thank you for allowing us all to share and participate. All right. Adrian, thank you for being here. Paul and Sandy, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, guys. It was a good conversation tonight.
I think that we could entertain a motion to adjourn.
The motion that we adjourn.
Second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. Happy springtime, folks.
If it ever shows up.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Alexander and Will. Bye, Counselor Glantz.
Do you live in
All right.
Oregon?
I do live in Vancouver, actually.
Oh,
so.
oh,